All right, time for the playoff teams three-word game. Basically, here I describe every playoff team in 3 words. We're going to start with the AFC with this number 6 seed Indianapolis Colts. This one being Luck the Snub. What more do I have to say? He didn't go to the Pro Bowl, and he's not even being considered for MVP. He better win Comeback Player of the Year. But he's led this team ever since Week 7. They've been on fire. Finished season 10-6, and honestly, they could be the biggest threat in the AFC besides the Chargers, in my opinion. Speaking of the Chargers, let's go to the Chargers. Los Angeles, Super Bowl bound. I had this team as my Super Bowl winner since about week 14 and 13 of the NFL season. Their roster is just the best in the NFL, folks. Honestly, their roster is absolutely amazing. You got Phillip Rivers, who sadly won't win the MVP, but had an MVP level season. He's got Melvin Gordon in the background. He's got insanely good wide receivers. He's going to get Hunter Henry back for the playoffs. Their defense has gotten nothing but better, and they have the Defense Rookie of the Year on their team. So I got them going to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl bound for Los Angeles Chargers. Number 4 seed, Baltimore Ravens. Lamar's team now. I'm sorry, Joe Flacco, but you're either going to be traded or released anytime soon because Lamar Jackson has absolutely been phenomenal. Ever since his start, he's lost 1 game, and the team, this is probably the scariest team to face right now just because of the RPO that they have with him and with their running back. If you look what they did to Cleveland in the first half against them, their running game was absolutely amazing, gathering over 150 yards in one half alone. Lamar Jackson himself rushed for, I believe, 54 yards and 2 touchdowns in that first half. But the only thing with that is the Browns did show us in the second half how to contain it as they made adjustments and held them just to 6 points in that. But I'm sorry, Joe Flacco, you have been replaced. Houston Texans, worst offensive line. This is what will probably get them knocked out of the playoffs, and that is the fact that their offensive line is just not good. It is definitely the worst offensive line in the playoffs out of AFC and NFC, and it could be in the top 5 worst offensive lines in the entire league. Deshaun Watson, he's absolutely amazing. If you see that play of him just absolutely avoiding all the sacks that he gets that people throw at him, his offensive line is horrible, and will apparently be will be their downfall in the playoffs. Houston Texans, worst offensive line. New England Patriots, not the same. This is not the same New England Patriots team that you are used to seeing. Number 2 seed, yeah, you could be used to that, but the way they got there, absolutely strange. They have been exploited all season. Tom Brady is having a record low season for Tom Brady. I mean, he was surpassed by Baker Mayfield in so many statistics this season. They have to rely on the run game, and their defense is not as tight as it could be or has been in the past. Sonny Michel can't stay healthy when he can. They are a good team, but you can't just rely on the Patriots' run game whenever you're playing other teams. The big thing with them was when you were playing them, the run game is working. All right, fine, we got Tom Brady back there. Oh, the pass game is working. Okay, that's fine. We got three good running backs back there. They can just pound the ball in. It's not the case anymore. If the run game isn't working, your pass game probably isn't working either, just because Tom Brady isn't himself lately. This is one of those few years where rare years where Patriots just aren't one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl anymore. And last but not least, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 1 seed, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, absolutely amazing team, very talented. But Kansas City Chiefs, not quite there. Yes, they are absolutely amazing. They had a fantastic season. But gotta look a little deeper into it. Yes, Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. Yes, Andy Reid has turned this team around. And yes, it is only Patrick Mahomes' second season, so he's going to get nothing but better. But at the same time, he was not very good against the games he had to win where he needed to show us, to prove himself to us. He lost to the Rams. Obviously, that game is a little bit different because it was just such a shootout that he probably had the chance to if his defense could play defense. And he lost to the Patriots in a game that, honestly, they could have had again if it wasn't for the defense. And then they also lost, nearly lost to the Baltimore Ravens in that game where a 4th and 9 luck play is able to get them past the Ravens in that one. So the fact that even the Seahawks were able to exploit them, they're just not quite there yet. They could get to the Super Bowl next season. They even have a chance to win it. But in the end, they're just not the Super Bowl team for this year. Now let's go to the NFC side. Back to the 6th seed. Philadelphia Eagles. Foles on top. Nick Foles, he's showing it. He's got it. He is 9-2 in must-win games for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think this is good for Carson Wentz. People are worried that the Eagles might pick him over Carson Wentz. No, they're not going to pick Foles over Carson Wentz. This is good for Wentz because he is able to rest and get everything ready, and he's sitting back and he's getting experience just from watching Foles. Obviously, it's not in the same area where Lamar Jackson is, where he's got the team now. But Foles is on top of this team for this playoff run, and we'll see what they do with him for next season. Let's go to Seattle for the number 5 seed. No 12th man. No matter where they go this season for the postseason, they will not have their 12th man behind them. They first have to start off in Dallas, which is the complete opposite of the 12th man, because Dallas basically has a 12th man of their own. Their home crowd is absolutely amazing. And then if they win that game, they will most likely have to play the Saints. Again, a team that you could have a couple Seattle fans in there, but you won't even be able to hear them over how good their fan base is in New Orleans. And the 12th man is really kind of like the Ravens, a big spark plug for them. So without them, it's going to be hard. I think that they'll get past the first round, but then end up losing the second round. So Seattle Seahawks, no 12th man. Let's go to Dallas. Dink and Dak. Dak Prescott, he has gotten better. He has gotten a lot better this season, especially with the acquisition of Amari Cooper and their tight end that was just showing off week 17 against the Giants. He had 3 touchdowns. But he does not take risks very often. He's very similar to Mitchell Trubisky, where he won't let the ball fly. He just does little dink and dots for 5-yard gains. And if you look, some of those get taken for 25 yards and they get counted for a 25-yard pass play. But if it's just a 5-yard little slant or a 5-yard drag or a 5-out route, it's not going to win games. You have to be able to throw the football down. They're going to have to work on that over the offseason. And again, if they can't run the ball with Zeke and Dak is just throwing little small balls like that, it's going to be hard for them to win. Chicago. Barely a fluke. Chicago Bears. People could say that this is just a fluke season, kind of like the Jaguars. But this is not a fluke season. They're going to get nothing but better. I see a lot of what I saw in Los Angeles in this team for this year. I think they're going to get a lot better. I think Mitch Trubisky is going to take that next step with Pat Nagy this offseason. He's already been much better than we all thought he would be, and Matt Nagy, give credit to Matt Nagy there. And their defense is absolutely amazing. They will not. I don't think they'll reach the conference championship this year, and they will not reach a Super Bowl, in my opinion. But that's just because experience. You got sophomore year quarterback. But honestly, you give this team some time, 2-3 years, they could be the number 1 or number 2 seed in the NFC for a long time. Number 2 seed. Speaking of the Rams, let's go to Los Angeles. Nearly golf course. There was a time there where they were looking a little worrisome. They were dropping games, Philadelphia and Chicago, and they weren't looking good. Todd Gurley obviously went out for a little bit, but he's going to come back. They're going to have 2 weeks to prepare, and Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFL right now, about equal with Pat Nagy, and what he's done with Jared Goff and that offense is absolutely amazing. The reason they went off course, though, is their defense. Their defense is not very consistent. They need it to be consistent. They have a very lazy, in my opinion, secondary. The front 7 is good. I mean, you got Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald doing the pass rush, but their secondary, it needs a little bit of tightening up. I think that the bye week will help that out a lot. You're gonna have an extremely rested team, so near the golf course. Now, last but not least, you've got the New Orleans Saints. Easy and breezy. They had the best season out of every other team in the NFL. It doesn't matter record, doesn't matter stats. They had the best season. By the time Week 5 rolled around, everybody knew that this team was going to be the best team in football. Honestly, they're the best team in football. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they are the best team in football. You've got Sean Payton, you've got Drew Brees, you've got Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and that defense is absolutely amazing. I do think that Lattimore, he's having a little bit of a sophomore slump, but I mean, you've got Cameron Jordan rushing the quarterback. He's done an amazing job of doing so this year. I think that if this season does not end in the Super Bowl for them, I think they could have a chance next season. They do have a small window, but for this season at least, easy and breezy.